Picture this, a quiet, affluent neighborhood in Boulder, Colorado, blanketed in snow on the morning after Christmas. The streets are silent, the houses still, as families sleep off the festivities of the previous day. But inside one home, a nightmare is unfolding. A 6-year-old girl is missing. Her name is JonBenet Ramsey, a child beauty queen with a smile that could light up a room, a talent that captivated audiences, and a future that seemed limitless. Her mother, Patsy Ramsey, wakes up early that morning and makes her way downstairs. What she finds will change her life, and the lives of everyone involved, forever. On the staircase, she discovers a ransom note. It's not just a few lines scribbled in haste. It's a 3-page letter filled with strange phrases, specific demands, and chilling warnings. The note claims that JonBenet has been kidnapped and demands $118,000 for her safe return. But here's where the story takes a dark and baffling turn. Hours later, JonBenet's body is found in the basement of her own home. She has been strangled, her skull fractured, and her life brutally cut short. The ransom note, the location of the body, and the lack of forced entry into the home raise more questions than answers. Was this a botched kidnapping, a family tragedy, or something far more sinister? This is the story of JonBenet Ramsey, a case that has haunted America for decades. It's a story of a beautiful child, a grieving family, and a mystery that defies logic. It's a story that has captivated the media, divided investigators, and left the public searching for answers. And it's a story that, even after all these years, remains unsolved. So, what really happened to JonBenet Ramsey? And why, after decades of investigations, theories, and speculation, do we still not know the truth? This is the mystery we're about to explore, a mystery that continues to haunt us to this day. To understand the gravity of this case, we need to step back in time to 1996. The Ramsey family was, by all accounts, the picture of success and charm. John Ramsey, a self-made millionaire, had built a thriving career in the tech industry. His wife, Patsy, was a former beauty queen, Miss West Virginia to be exact, who had given up her pageant career to focus on her family. Together, they lived in a sprawling, Tudor-style home in Boulder, Colorado, a city known for its picturesque landscapes and affluent residents. The Ramseys had 2 children, Burke, their 9-year-old son, and JonBenet, their 6-year-old daughter. JonBenet was the star of the family, a precocious, talented child who had already made a name for herself in the world of child beauty pageants. Her performances were captivating, her smile infectious, and her future seemed limitless. She was the kind of child who lit up a room just by walking into it, and her parents doted on her, pouring their time, energy, and resources into her budding career. But behind the glittering facade of their perfect life, there were whispers of trouble. John Ramsey's business had faced financial challenges, and the strain of maintaining their affluent lifestyle was beginning to show. Patsy, who had battled cancer just a few years earlier, was still recovering from the physical and emotional toll of her illness. And then there was the pressure of JonBenet's pageant life, a world of glitz and glamour that came with its own set of challenges. Despite these struggles, the Ramseys appeared to be a happy, close-knit family. They spent Christmas Day 1996 at home, enjoying the holiday together. They attended a party at a friend's house, where JonBenet charmed everyone with her infectious energy. Later that evening, they returned home, and the children were put to bed. It was a quiet, uneventful night, or so it seemed. But by the next morning, everything had changed. The Ramsey family's perfect life was shattered, and they were thrust into a nightmare that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The disappearance and subsequent murder of JonBenet Ramsey would become one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in modern history, a case that continues to captivate and confound us to this day. December 25, 1996, was supposed to be a day of joy and celebration. The Ramsey family spent Christmas Day at home, enjoying the holiday together. They attended a party at a friend's house, where JonBenet charmed everyone with her infectious energy. Later that evening, they returned home, and the children were put to bed. It was a quiet, uneventful night, or so it seemed. But by the next morning, everything had changed. Patsy Ramsey woke up early and made her way downstairs, where she found a chilling note on the staircase. The note was addressed to John Ramsey and demanded $118,000 for the safe return of JonBenet. It was a bizarre amount, not the round number you'd expect in a ransom demand, and the note itself was pages long, filled with strange phrases and warnings. The note began with the words, "Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. It went on to warn the Ramseys not to contact the police or the FBI, threatening that JonBenet would be beheaded if they did. The note also instructed John Ramsey to withdraw the ransom amount from his bank account and to await further instructions. Panicked, the Ramseys called the police. But as the hours passed, the situation grew more confusing. The ransom note instructed the family not to contact authorities, yet the Ramseys had already done so. And then, in a shocking twist, JonBenet's body was discovered in the basement of the Ramsey home. She had been strangled and suffered a severe blow to the head. The ransom note, the location of the body, and the lack of forced entry into the home raised more questions than answers. What had started as a kidnapping had turned into a murder investigation, and the Ramsey family was at the center of it all. The discovery of JonBenet's body was a turning point in the case, a moment that transformed a kidnapping into a murder investigation and shattered any hope of a happy ending. It was John Ramsey, JonBenet's father, who made the grim discovery. After hours of waiting, searching, and praying, he decided to comb the house one more time. This time, he ventured into the basement, a part of the home that was rarely used. In a small, dimly lit room, John found his daughter. JonBenet's body was wrapped in a white blanket, her favorite nightgown visible beneath it. A cord was tightly wound around her neck, and a piece of duct tape covered her mouth. The scene was horrifying, but it was also puzzling. Why would a kidnapper leave the body in the house? Why was there no sign of forced entry? And why did the ransom note seem so personal? The autopsy revealed the full extent of the tragedy. JonBenet had died from asphyxiation due to strangulation, but she had also suffered a severe skull fracture. The blow to her head was so forceful that it would have rendered her unconscious almost immediately. The timeline of events was unclear, but investigators believed she had been killed shortly after being taken from her bed. The crime scene was a labyrinth of contradictions. The ransom note, written on a notepad from the Ramsey home, contained phrases that seemed oddly familiar. The amount demanded, $118,000, matched John Ramsey's recent bonus, a detail that raised eyebrows. And then there was the pineapple. A bowl of pineapple with milk was found on the kitchen table, and traces of the fruit were found in JonBenet's stomach. What did it mean? Was it a clue or just a red herring? The Ramsey family was immediately thrust into the spotlight of suspicion. John and Patsy Ramsey were questioned extensively, and their behavior was scrutinized by the media and the public. Why had they called their friends over before calling the police? Why had John Ramsey searched the basement alone? And why did the ransom note seem to mimic the tone and phrasing of Patsy's writing? As investigators began to piece together the evidence, they found themselves facing more questions than answers. The case was becoming a labyrinth of theories, rumors, and dead ends. And at the center of it all was a grieving family, struggling to make sense of an unimaginable loss. As the investigation unfolded, the list of suspects grew longer and more complicated. The Ramsey family was the first to come under scrutiny. John and Patsy Ramsey were accused of staging the crime scene to cover up an accidental death. Some theorized that JonBenet's older brother, Burke, might have been involved, either accidentally or intentionally. Others pointed to the possibility of an intruder, someone who had entered the home undetected and committed the crime. Let's break down the key suspects and theories that have emerged over the years. The Ramsey family, John and Patsy Ramsey, were the most obvious suspects. The ransom note, written on a notepad from their home, contained phrases that seemed to mimic Patsy's writing style. The amount demanded, $118,000, matched John's recent bonus, leading some to believe the note was an inside job. Investigators also questioned the Ramseys' behavior in the hours following JonBenet's disappearance. Why had they called their friends over before calling the police? Why had John searched the basement alone? Some theorized that JonBenet's death was an accident, perhaps the result of a sibling fight or a disciplinary incident gone wrong, and that the Ramseys staged the crime scene to protect themselves. But if that were the case, why go to such elaborate lengths? And why leave the body in the house? Burke Ramsey, JonBenet's older brother, Burke, was just 9 years old at the time of the murder. While he was initially ruled out as a suspect, some have speculated that he may have been involved in his sister's death, either accidentally or intentionally. In 2016, a controversial documentary suggested that Burke had struck JonBenet with a flashlight, causing her fatal head injury, and that his parents had covered it up. However, there is little concrete evidence to support this theory. Burke has consistently denied any involvement, and no charges have ever been brought against him. The intruder theory, not everyone believes the Ramseys were involved. Some investigators and experts have argued that an intruder entered the home that night, kidnapped JonBenet, and killed her in the basement. Proponents of this theory point to the DNA evidence found at the scene, which did not match any member of the Ramsey family. They also note that the ransom note, while strange, could have been written by someone familiar with the family's finances. But if an intruder was responsible, how did they enter the home without being detected? And why leave the body behind? Other suspects over the years, numerous other suspects have been proposed, including the housekeeper. Linda Hoffman-Pugh, the Ramseys' housekeeper, was briefly considered a suspect. She had access to the home and knew its layout, but there was no evidence linking her to the crime. The Santa Claus figure. A man named Bill McReynolds, who had played Santa Claus at a Ramsey family party, was also investigated. His wife had written a play about the kidnapping of a young girl, leading some to speculate about his involvement. However, no evidence was found to connect him to the crime. John Mark Carr. In 2006, a man named John Mark Carr confessed to killing JonBenet, claiming it was an accident. However, his DNA did not match the evidence found at the scene, and his confession was ultimately dismissed as a hoax. The list of suspects is long and varied, but despite decades of investigations, no one has been definitively linked to JonBenet's murder. The case remains a labyrinth of theories, rumors, and dead ends. The JonBenet Ramsey case wasn't just a tragedy, it was a media sensation. From the moment the story broke, it captivated the nation. The image of a beautiful, innocent child, combined with the bizarre details of the case, made it irresistible to the press. Every aspect of the Ramsey family's life was dissected and analyzed. JonBenet's beauty pageant photos were splashed across newspapers and television screens, turning her into a symbol of innocence lost. The Ramsey family's every move was scrutinized, their every word analyzed for hidden meanings. But the media frenzy didn't just fuel public interest, it also complicated the investigation. The constant coverage made it difficult for investigators to do their jobs, and the intense scrutiny placed immense pressure on the Ramsey family. Some argue that the media attention destroyed any chance of solving the case, while others believe it kept the story alive, ensuring that JonBenet's case was never forgotten. The role of the media played a significant role in shaping public perception of the case. From the outset, the story was framed as a sensational mystery, with headlines like Beauty Queen Murder and The Mystery of the Ransom Note. The constant coverage turned the case into a national obsession, but it also created a narrative that was often at odds with the facts. For example, the media's focus on JonBenet's beauty pageant photos led to speculation about the role of pageants in her death. Some suggested that the pressure of the pageant world had contributed to the tragedy, while others argued that it was irrelevant to the case. The media also played a significant role in shaping public opinion about the Ramsey family. From the outset, John and Patsy Ramsey were portrayed as suspects, with their every move scrutinized for signs of guilt. The media's portrayal of the Ramseys as cold and calculating only added to the public's suspicion, even though there was little concrete evidence to support these claims. The impact on the investigation. The media frenzy had a significant impact on the investigation. The constant coverage made it difficult for investigators to do their jobs, as every move they made was scrutinized by the press. The intense scrutiny also placed immense pressure on the Ramsey family, who were forced to defend themselves against a barrage of accusations. Some argue that the media attention destroyed any chance of solving the case. The constant coverage created a narrative that was often at odds with the facts, making it difficult for investigators to separate truth from fiction. Others believe that the media attention kept the story alive, ensuring that JonBenet's case was never forgotten. The legacy of the media frenzy surrounding the JonBenet Ramsey case has left a lasting legacy. It has shaped the way we think about crime, media, and justice, and it has raised important questions about the role of the press in high-profile cases. For the Ramsey family, the media frenzy was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it kept JonBenet's case in the public eye, ensuring that her story was never forgotten. On the other hand, it subjected the family to intense scrutiny and suspicion, making it difficult for them to grieve and move on. The media frenzy also had a significant impact on the investigation. The constant coverage made it difficult for investigators to do their jobs, and the intense scrutiny placed immense pressure on the Ramsey family. Some argue that the media attention destroyed any chance of solving the case, while others believe it kept the story alive, ensuring that JonBenet's case was never forgotten. Decades have passed since JonBenet Ramsey's death, but the case remains as baffling as ever. Despite advancements in forensic science and countless investigations, we still don't know who killed JonBenet. The DNA evidence, while promising, has yet to yield a definitive answer. The ransom note, the crime scene, and the timeline of events continue to defy explanation. Why does this case still haunt us? Perhaps it's the sheer senselessness of the crime, the loss of a child who had her whole life ahead of her. Perhaps it's the mystery itself, the fact that in an age of technology and information, some questions remain unanswered. Or perhaps it's the fear that the truth may never come to light, leaving us to wonder what really happened on that fateful night. The DNA evidence, one of the most promising leads in the case, is the DNA evidence. In 2008, investigators announced that they had found traces of DNA on JonBenet's clothing that did not match any member of the Ramsey family. This discovery led to the exoneration of the Ramseys and renewed hope that the case could be solved. However, despite advances in DNA technology, the evidence has yet to yield a definitive answer. The DNA sample is small and degraded, making it difficult to identify a suspect. Some experts believe that the DNA may belong to an intruder, while others argue that it could be the result of contamination. The ransom note remains one of the most puzzling aspects of the case. The note, written on a notepad from the Ramsey home, contained phrases that seemed oddly familiar. The amount demanded, $118,000, matched John Ramsey's recent bonus, leading some to believe the note was an inside job. But if the note was written by someone in the Ramsey family, why go to such elaborate lengths? And why leave the body in the house? These questions continue to baffle investigators and fuel speculation about what really happened that night. The timeline of events is another source of confusion. According to the ransom note, JonBenet was kidnapped in the early hours of December 26, 1996. However, the autopsy revealed that she had been killed shortly after being taken from her bed. This discrepancy has led to speculation about the sequence of events. Did the kidnapper change their mind and decide to kill JonBenet? Or was the ransom note a red herring, designed to throw investigators off the trail? The legacy of the case, the JonBenet Ramsey case, has left a lasting legacy. It has shaped the way we think about crime, media, and justice, and it has raised important questions about the role of the press in high-profile cases. For the Ramsey family, the case has been a source of unimaginable pain and loss. Despite the passage of time, they continue to seek answers and justice for JonBenet. For the rest of us, the case is a reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of mystery. It's a story that continues to haunt us, a reminder that some questions may never be answered. JonBenet Ramsey's story is more than just a true crime case. It's a reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly it can be taken away. Her death left a void that can never be filled, and her case left a legacy of questions that may never be answered. As we remember JonBenet, we're left to wonder, will the truth ever come to light? Or will this case remain a chilling enigma, forever etched in our collective memory? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain. JonBenet Ramsey's story will continue to haunt us, a reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond our reach. But why does this case, in particular, hold such a grip on our collective consciousness? Is it the tragic loss of a child, a life cut short before it could truly begin? Is it the bizarre and contradictory details of the crime, the ransom note, the pineapple, the lack of forced entry, that defy logic and explanation? Or is it the fact that, despite decades of investigations, theories, and speculation, we still don't know what really happened that night? Perhaps it's all of these things. Perhaps it's the combination of tragedy, mystery, and the enduring search for justice that makes JonBenet's story so compelling. Whatever the reason, her case has become a cultural touchstone, a story that continues to captivate and confound us to this day. For the Ramsey family, the tragedy of JonBenet's death was only the beginning of a long and painful journey. In the years that followed, they were subjected to intense scrutiny, suspicion, and media attention. Their every move was analyzed, their every word dissected for hidden meanings. John and Patsy Ramsey maintained their innocence throughout the investigation, but the public's perception of them was heavily influenced by the media's portrayal. They were often depicted as cold and calculating, more concerned with protecting their image than finding justice for their daughter. The toll of the case was immense. Patsy Ramsey, who had already battled cancer, faced a new kind of struggle as she fought to clear her name and protect her family. John Ramsey, a successful businessman, found himself thrust into a world of suspicion and accusation. and Burke, JonBenét's older brother, grew up in the shadow of his sister's death, his childhood forever marked by tragedy. Despite the challenges, the Ramseys never stopped seeking justice for JonBenet. They cooperated with investigators, hired private experts, and even wrote a book, The Death of Innocence, to share their side of the story. But the cloud of suspicion never fully lifted, and the case remained unsolved. In 2006, Patsy Ramsey passed away after a long battle with ovarian cancer. Her death marked the end of an era, but it also reignited interest in the case. John Ramsey, now a widower, continued to advocate for his daughter, hoping that one day the truth would come to light. The Ramsey family's story is a reminder of the human cost of tragedy. It's a story of loss, resilience, and the enduring search for justice, a story that continues to unfold even today. Over the years, the investigation into JonBenét's death has evolved, with new leads, theories, and technologies emerging. Despite these advancements, the case remains unsolved, a testament to its complexity and the challenges faced by investigators. Early missteps, one of the most criticized aspects of the case, is the handling of the crime scene in the early hours of the investigation. When police arrived at the Ramsey home on the morning of December 26, 1996, they failed to secure the scene properly. Friends and family members were allowed to enter the house, potentially contaminating evidence. This misstep has been cited as one of the reasons the case remains unsolved. Without a pristine crime scene, investigators were left to piece together a puzzle with missing pieces, relying on incomplete and potentially compromised evidence. Advances in forensic science in the years since JonBenét's death, forensic science has made significant advancements. DNA analysis, in particular, has played a key role in the investigation. In 2008, investigators announced that they had found traces of DNA on JonBenét's clothing that did not match any member of the Ramsey family. This discovery led to the exoneration of the Ramseys and renewed hope that the case could be solved. However, the DNA sample is small and degraded, making it difficult to identify a suspect. Some experts believe that the DNA may belong to an intruder, while others argue that it could be the result of contamination. The role of private investigators frustrated by the lack of progress in the official investigation. The Ramsey family hired private investigators to look into the case. These experts brought fresh perspectives and new leads, but they also faced the same challenges as law enforcement: a lack of physical evidence and a crime scene that had been compromised. Despite these challenges, private investigators have played a key role in keeping the case alive. Their work has led to new theories and suspects, but it has yet to yield a definitive answer. The future of the investigation as technology continues to advance, there is hope that the case may one day be solved. Advances in DNA analysis, artificial intelligence, and other forensic techniques could provide new insights into the evidence. But even with these advancements, the case remains a daunting challenge. The passage of time has made it more difficult to gather new evidence, and the lack of a clear suspect has left investigators with few leads to pursue. Despite these challenges, the search for justice continues. For JonBenet, for her family, and for all those who have been touched by her story, the hope remains that one day the truth will come to light. The JonBenet Ramsey case has had a profound impact on American culture, shaping the way we think about crime, media, and justice. It has inspired countless books, documentaries, and TV specials, each offering its own take on the mystery. True crime phenomenon The Case is often cited as one of the catalysts for the modern true crime phenomenon. Its combination of tragedy, mystery, and media frenzy captured the public's imagination, paving the way for a new genre of storytelling. Today, true crime is one of the most popular genres in entertainment, with podcasts, documentaries, and TV shows exploring everything from cold cases to high-profile trials. But it all started with cases like JonBenét's, stories that captivated the nation and left us searching for answers. Media and public perception The Case also raised important questions about the role of the media in high-profile investigations. The intense coverage of the Ramsey family's every move blurred the line between news and entertainment, turning a tragic story into a spectacle. This media frenzy had a lasting impact on the way we think about crime and justice. It highlighted the power of the press to shape public perception, for better or worse, and raised important questions about the ethics of reporting on sensitive cases. A legacy of questions above all, the JonBenet Ramsey case is a reminder of the enduring power of mystery. It's a story that continues to captivate and confound us, a reminder that some questions may never be answered. But even without answers, JonBenét's story has left a lasting legacy. It has inspired countless people to seek justice, to question the status quo, and to never stop searching for the truth. And in that sense, her story is far from over. The JonBenét Ramsey case has had a profound impact on American culture, shaping the way we think about crime, media, and justice. It has inspired countless books, documentaries, and TV specials, each offering its own take on the mystery. True crime phenomenon The Case is often cited as one of the catalysts for the modern true crime phenomenon. Its combination of tragedy, mystery, and media frenzy captured the public's imagination, paving the way for a new genre of storytelling. Today, true crime is one of the most popular genres in entertainment, with podcasts, documentaries, and TV shows exploring everything from cold cases to high-profile trials. But it all started with cases like JonBenét's, stories that captivated the nation and left us searching for answers. The case also highlighted the human cost of true crime. While the genre can be entertaining and thought-provoking, it's important to remember that these stories are rooted in real-life tragedies. For the Ramsey family, the media's obsession with their daughter's death was a source of immense pain and suffering. Media and public perception The Case also raised important questions about the role of the media in high-profile investigations. The intense coverage of the Ramsey family's every move blurred the line between news and entertainment, turning a tragic story into a spectacle. This media frenzy had a lasting impact on the way we think about crime and justice. It highlighted the power of the press to shape public perception, for better or worse, and raised important questions about the ethics of reporting on sensitive cases. For example, the media's focus on JonBenét's beauty pageant photos led to speculation about the role of pageants in her death. Some suggested that the pressure of the pageant world had contributed to the tragedy, while others argued that it was irrelevant to the case. The media's portrayal of the Ramsey family also had a significant impact on public opinion. From the outset, John and Patsy Ramsey were portrayed as suspects, with their every move scrutinized for signs of guilt. This narrative, fueled by sensational headlines and speculative reporting, shaped the way the public viewed the case, and the Ramseys themselves. A legacy of questions above all, the JonBenet Ramsey case is a reminder of the enduring power of mystery. It's a story that continues to captivate and confound us, a reminder that some questions may never be answered. But even without answers, JonBenet's story has left a lasting legacy. It has inspired countless people to seek justice, to question the status quo, and to never stop searching for the truth. And in that sense, her story is far from over. One of the most controversial aspects of the JonBenet Ramsey case is the role of beauty pageants in her life. JonBenet was a rising star in the world of child beauty pageants, and her participation in these events has been the subject of much debate. The world of child beauty pageants are a unique and often polarizing subculture. For some, they are a way to celebrate talent, beauty, and confidence. For others, they are a source of concern, with critics arguing that they place undue pressure on young children and expose them to adult standards of beauty. JonBenet's participation in pageants was a significant part of her life. She competed in numerous events, often winning top prizes for her performances. Her talent, charm, and stage presence made her a standout competitor, and her parents were proud of her achievements. But in the wake of her death, the pageants became a focal point of media attention. Some suggested that the pressure of the pageant world had contributed to the tragedy, while others argued that it was irrelevant to the case. The impact on the investigation, the media's focus on JonBenet's pageant photos, had a significant impact on the investigation. The images of a young girl dressed in elaborate costumes, with heavy makeup and styled hair, were used to fuel speculation about the case. Some suggested that the pageants had made JonBenet a target, drawing the attention of a predator. Others argued that the Ramseys' involvement in the pageant world was a sign of their ambition and desire for fame, which could have played a role in the tragedy. But despite the speculation, there is no evidence to suggest that the pageants were directly connected to JonBenet's death. The focus on this aspect of her life has been criticized as a distraction from the real issues at hand and a reminder of the media's tendency to sensationalize tragedy. A broader conversation, the debate over child beauty pageants, has continued in the years since JonBenet's death. Her story has become a touchstone in discussions about the ethics of these events and the impact they can have on young children. For some, JonBenet's case is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of exposing children to adult standards of beauty and competition. For others, It is a reminder of the importance of celebrating talent and confidence in young people. Whatever your perspective, the role of beauty pageants in JonBenét's life is a complex and controversial aspect of her story, one that continues to spark debate and discussion to this day. JonBené Ramsey's death, the case remains one of the most enduring mysteries in modern history. Despite countless investigations, theories, and media coverage, we still don't know what really happened that night. So why does this case continue to captivate us? Why can't we let go of the mystery of JonBené Ramsey? The loss of innocence at its core, the JonBené Ramsey case is a story about the loss of innocence. JonBené was a child full of life and potential, whose future was brutally cut short. Her death is a reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating impact of violence on young lives. This loss of innocence resonates with us on a deep level. It's a story that touches our hearts and stirs our emotions, reminding us of the importance of protecting and cherishing the most vulnerable among us. The Search for Justice, the case, is also a story about the search for justice. Despite decades of investigations, JonBenét's killer has never been brought to justice. This lack of closure is deeply frustrating, and it fuels our desire to keep searching for answers. For many, the case is a symbol of the flaws in our justice system. It's a reminder that even in a world of advanced technology and forensic science, some mysteries remain unsolved. The power of mystery, finally, the JonBené Ramsey case is a story about the power of mystery. The bizarre and contradictory details of the case, the ransom note, the pineapple, the lack of forced entry, defy logic and explanation. They keep us guessing, and they keep us coming back for more. In a world where we crave answers and certainty, the JonBené Ramsey case is a reminder that some questions may never be answered. It's a story that challenges us to confront the unknown and to grapple with the complexities of human nature. And so we continue to search for answers. We continue to debate, to speculate, and to wonder. Because in the end, the mystery of JonBené Ramsey is more than just a true crime case. It's a story about life, loss, and the enduring search for truth.